music.
There is no terrible way to win. There is only winning.
We won't be out long.
Take your time. Track's all yours.
You ready?
The name on the middle of that steering wheel should tell you that I was born ready. Hit it.
Attaboy. Let me drive. I will make a fool out of you.
I got a message for all of them. Shake and bake.
What does that do? Does that blow your mind? That just happened.
These cars, you sit in a box, a coffin, gasoline all around you. It is like being inside a bomb.
It's tough enough being a girl on the track. Living in my dad's shadow doesn't help much.
You have to be kind to the car. You feel the poor thing groaning underneath you.
No race was ever won in the first corner.
I'm gonna give you an engine, low to the ground, extra big oil pans will cut the wind from underneath you. That'll give you 30 to 40 more horsepower.
Every one of us has to find a reason to do this. You do it because you're driven.
Brakes are warm. Tires are warm.
I'll work in the cars and I'll drive and I'll eat and sleep and I'll work in the cars and I'll drive.
Damn fast, and when he runs it close together, it requires fantastic concentration and rather special skills.
I was beginning to think I'd never be anything more than a piston-happy lead-foot punk. Then this starts to happen.
If you're going to push a piece of machinery to the limit and expect it to hold together, you have to have some sense of where that limit is.
Besides, the best drivers don't dwell on the future or the past. The best drivers focus only on the present.
They could never have imagined it. Those pioneers who invented the automobile, that it would possess us like this in our imaginations, our dreams.
I'm gonna give you a fuel line that will hold an extra gallon of gas. I'm gonna shave half an inch off you and shape you like a bullet.
Somebody put it in your mind you gotta be perfect every time out or you're a failure. Well, forget that. Just forget it.
Racing is in my blood.
I was put on this earth to race cars.
I accept every time I get in my car. There's 20% chance I could die, and I can live with it, but not 1% more.
No, Nicky, don't bring the percentages into this. Don't be a pro. The minute you do that, you kill what's good about this. You kill the sport.
And at that speed, your reactions can barely keep up with these sudden changes in direction.
You ready to put away your toys and grow up?
You want me to work the pit and you drive? Fine, we'll try that.
The car's a living, breathing thing, and she's alive.
If any of us imagined, really imagined, what it would be like to go into a tree at 150 miles an hour, we would probably never get into the cars at all. None of us.
Are you ready to become a real race car driver?
I am just as good as anybody out there on that track, and I don't need anybody to win my races for me.
I wish my daddy were alive to see this, to feel this.
And when we get you primed, painted, and weighed, you'll be ready to go out on that racetrack. You hear me? You're gonna be perfect.
You don't understand what happens, do you? They make 10,000 cars, they make them exactly the same way, and one or two of them turn out to be something special. Nobody knows why.
When I won it was probably the last time I ever felt pure victory.
So it has always seemed to me that to do something very dangerous requires a certain absence of imagination.
Because I'm quicker than all of you.
Soon you will know what it is like to be defeated by the hands of somebody who is truly better than you.
The only thing to do here is to drive just as fast as you know how and hope your car doesn't break.
And if you no longer go for a gap that exists, you're no longer a racing driver.
If you ain't first, you're last. There's 40 other vultures out there who managed to finish the race on their tires. You see Darrell Waltrip using up his tires?
There's nothing I can't do with a race car.
I mean, hell, isn't that what we're in this for? To stare death in the face and to cheat it? I mean, come on, there's nobility in that. It's like being knights.
Sometimes you could swear the whole thing's falling to bits.
No pressure, nobody breathing down my back, just driving because I left it pure.
On the other hand, I suppose potential problems are in the back of your mind all the time.
So in many ways, I feel responsible for what happened. And
You were, but trust me, watching you win those races while I was fighting for my life, you were equally responsible for getting me back in the car.
You're so lucky. You sit there all closed in by machinery and bolts, precise things. There's hardly any room for you. It must be a nice, safe feeling.
Yeah, you gotta learn to trust something. Might just as well be the seat of your pants.
A lot of people go through life doing things badly. Racing is important to men who do it well. And racing, it's life. Anything that happens before or after, it's just waiting.
We can drive. We can drive beyond the limits of the tires, the engine, the car, anything else.
Look out there. Out there is the perfect lap. No mistakes. Every gear change, every corner. Perfect. You see it.
I just hope when you do, that I'm there to see it.
Ask any racer, any real racer. It don't matter if you win by an inch or a mile. Winning's winning.
But it isn't just business, is it? What we do, it's passion, love, which is why we're prepared to risk our lives for it.
Racing
That's the name of the game, isn't it? Win or lose, put up or shut up.
Why does everybody keep telling me what my problem is?
That you get so emotional.
You would never, ever say that to a guy.
If you don't leave your feelings off the track, you're never going to get what you want.
I'm a race driver, and I can win it on my own.
Please let me race.
Fine. Then let's race.
Goedenavond and welkom in Nederland. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the final exciting round of the Custom Racewear iRacing Formula 3 Championship, brought to you in association with Simutec Technologies and also Downforce Racing and GoBobby.uk. My name's Alex Goldschmidt, your host and co-commentator for this evening. Joining me very shortly will be our man behind the microphone who's been having a bit of a serenade with David Croft and McLaren quite recently, saying in the words of Spinal Tap that the volume will be turned up to 11. But in retort to that, thanks to Rat City Riot, we'll be speeding down the road with the foot to the fore. And how many times will these drivers have stepped over that line? It's been an interesting championship hunt so far with multiple different winners. We have 4 in total, which includes the current points leader, Sandy Mitchell, the driver in second place, Matthew Gauthier-Thornton, Teddy Wilson, and also Callum Bradshaw. And Callum Bradshaw was notably not with us last time out at Montreal, where it was a double win for Sandy Mitchell, which puts him on 3 victories, 1 for Wilson, 1 for Bradshaw, and 1 for Gauthier-Thornton. Now, your biggest question is going to be, why did Yves Baltas not get the win last time out in Montreal? Well, I have had an official confirmation from race director of the Custom Racewear F3 iRacing Championship that Yves Baltas was given a... so hold on, Keelan Watkins. Jakey will be with us in just a second. He's been a busy man behind the scenes as always. But Yves Baltas was given a slowdown. And what effectively happened was, because he didn't slow down enough, the race director rescinded his penalty, but it put him second because Yves Baltas was deemed by the iRacing software to not have slowed down enough. Meant that he would not be on the top step of the podium at the end of Montreal. So we've been to Imola, we've been to Silverstone, and we've been to Montreal. Now we're here at Circuit Park Zandvoort, 82 kilometres or an hour and 15 minutes drive from the Hook of Holland. We're just by the North Sea coast. And as you can see on your screens, practice will be currently underway. There'll be a 10-minute 2 flying lap qualification session. There'll be a sprint race of 15 minutes and then a following 10-minute warm-up. And then the feature race will be 20 minutes long with a reverse grid top 10. And in the point standings at the moment, Sandy Mitchell is one hand on the championship trophy here at the Custom Racewear Formula 3 iRacing Championship, with Matthew Gauthier-Thornton on 60 points Teddy Wilson on 57, then it's Thomas King on 54. It's a tie between Yves Baltas and Matt Caruana on 51 points, and I'm sure that the Matt Caruana fan club will bring their voices to our attention on the YouTube chat and when you're watching on the official channel. We've also got Callum Bradshaw equal on points with Michael Preston. Bradshaw on the benefit of his results is actually ahead. Then it's Philip Russell, who is part of Team Fordzilla. He's based out of Bath in Somerset, and he's also he's a game advisor for the British Esports Association as well. And then we've got Custom Racewear ambassador who's doing the Emanuele Pirro eBay special on his rig down in the student lobby of his university in Loughborough. Piers Pryor on 39 points. But I think without further, let's bring Jake Sanson in. Jake, how are you, mate? All good?
I'm very well, actually. Yes, it's been a crazy couple of weeks over the last... it certainly feels like it's been a couple of weeks already, but I guess we've waited quite a few days now since the last round, and obviously the battle is going to be very interesting and intense tonight. It's Zandvoort, which obviously provides plenty of great motor racing at the very best of times, and we're here now going to try and see how our drivers are going to cope with things as the battle rages for the final weekend of this brilliant four-round championship. A massive thank you to Ben Bishop and all the boys at Custom Racewear, and of course to Simutec Racing Technologies, who have been fantastic in putting everything together. But we're here in the practice session. As you can see, the weather is absolutely bone dry. It's sunny and clear, 12 kilometers an hour wind speed, so it should be perfectly fine for our drivers this evening to give us plenty of drama and entertainment.
A bit of history about Circuit Park Zandvoort. We're running on the previous iteration. Yes, we're running 14 iconic corners, and the race lap record, Jaguar R5 F1 Boss GPs.
Wow, we seem to be...
His very own Scott Woodwith.
You've had your own little moment there, Alex. You couldn't quite pick up any of what was being said by you there.
Right, I'm not too sure. Can you hear me now?
That's much better. Yeah, we've got the Alex Goldschmidt we know and love back again, so that's good news. So
oh, don't start.
Well, we've got the drivers now going through their practice session, and as you can see, we're watching Harry Smithson out on circuit at the present moment. And he's obviously going to be one of the drivers to keep an eye on. Here, though, is championship elect winner Sandy Mitchell. All he has to do, essentially, in the first race is to bring it home in a decent points position, Alex, and he's already got the job done.
Pretty much the case, Jake. He's got a 40-point lead ahead of Matthew Gauthier-Thornton. Apologies. I think there's a lot of racing going on, and it's not because of us. It's because of something happening. Moment, if memory serves me correct. But yeah, Matthew Gauthier-Thornton's got a heck of a lot of work to do.
Yeah, there's an interesting race going on over in France at the moment. I'm not entirely sure what it's in aid of, but Teddy Wilson is currently topping practice as he continues to put his car through the paces, and Michael J. Preston, who's in a very different livery this evening by the look of it. As he's just brought his car to the end of a lap there, actually, as Sandy Mitchell has gone back out again. Doesn't look as though we've got quite as many drivers on the grid as we have had in previous races, or certainly at this moment in time we don't anyway. There's George Palozzi going through in the beautiful black and yellow colours that he is racing with this evening. As Teddy Wilson is currently on the top spot. Stephen Healy has gone fourth fastest for the moment. He's got a sofa on his nose cone. What's that in aid of? That's a fabulous sponsor. I'm not sure. Someone's going to have to inform me what that's in aid of, but it certainly looks the business for Stephen Healy, as there is Matthew Gauthier-Thornton having a fairly solid run at the present moment in time. He's not causing himself too many major issues, but he is in there at the battle for fourth position at present. Sandy Mitchell still in the top three behind Wilson and Preston. but we want to try and give a name check to as many of these guys in preparation for the race as possible. There is Elliot Mason, who's been one of the strong challengers for the top 6 all the way through this full race meeting campaign, and he's done a fair job so far. Can he make an impression tonight? Your guess is as good as mine as we watch the man just behind him for Fordzilla. That is Philip Russell, Alex. Well, Alex appears to have disappeared from the fray somewhat prematurely, so not entirely sure where he has disappeared to, but hopefully he will return at the earliest. But yes, keeping an eye on Philip Russell as he runs around the circuit at present. There is Maximus Meyer, the Spanish charge. Whoops! Easy to get it wrong when you get up on the curbs there. And Austin Foster with the Carlin colours of his number 434 is going to try and charge his way up the hill. Fabulous circuit this. Very easy to get things wrong though, because this is the kind of circuit that really does bite the unsuspecting competitor. Here's Brad Gelman running in car number 1 as he tries to move his way up the rankings at the moment. 13th at present. Only 2 drivers have yet to set times, and that is Max Meyer and Austin Foster. Here is Austin trying to put himself on the timing sheets for the first time. As Michael J. Preston. There is Michael J. Preston, so the training pace has caught up with him now. And he's there in what I rather mistakenly dubbed as a lager company's livery, but it isn't, of course. It is Southampton University colours. So apologies to Michael J. Preston and all of the students there. Looking forward to seeing what they get up to in their student racing project once we're back off lockdown. Piers Pryor currently in 3rd position. There is Sandy Mitchell in the Black Bull colour scheme that we have come to be familiar with all the way through thus far. And there's Brad Gelman, still trying to get himself up to speed. 2.8 seconds covering the field at present. So a fascinating battle between our competitors. Teddy Wilson out front from Preston, Mitchell, Pryor, White and Matthew Gouty-Thornton.
Yes, sorry about that. I might have had a bit of a technical hitch my end. There we go. Yeah, just I think there was a possible problem with Discord at that particular moment in time, but everything's coming through nice and crystal clear. But
considering Discord is on overdrive this afternoon, it's pretty much been used.
I think it's been on overdrive since about the last 48 hours.
Yeah.
That's going to carry on for at least another 20 with the way things are going on. You know, there's so much going on. Obviously, the Le Mans 24-hour virtual with our good friend Chris McCarthy on the commentary team alongside. Oh, another bit of a moment. That's for Sammy Venables. Oh, that was close for him.
So Harry Smithson going around, and he is currently in 10th position, 1.4 seconds off the pole time. But this is one of those circuits that it doesn't necessarily matter if you're the fastest car out there, if you're the fastest driver out there. You've got to put in the work. And it's a very tricky circuit. It can bite you if you're not suspecting it. You need to be very smooth around here, and it's hard to do that with the changes of camber, the very tough curves around the course, as Piers Pryor is on a flying lap, 0.3 of a second off the pace of Teddy Wilson, who is the current fastest. This isn't for pole position, of course. This is just our practice session, but it does give us a bit of an idea as to who is doing what in various points around the circuit.
Very much the case. I mean, I've seen the likes of Lando Marcello, Felix Rosenquist, Daniel Cadea race at tracks like these, and proper old school. This is, if you try and take a bite, it's going to hit you back with all it's worth. I mean, especially corner in this turn 8 Shivla. You know, that's one of the biggest tests. It's a bit like Paddock Hill. It's full bore. You go in. You're going over a crest, you can't see the apex, and you've got to really chance it. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, Jake.
This is very true. It is a very technical circuit here at Zandvoort, and it's perfect for these Formula 3 cars. It gives you plenty of overtaking opportunities, but also plenty of chances to get it wrong. But this man isn't. Sandy Mitchell has set the fastest time in practice at the moment. So he has got himself into a good position. Piers Pryor's just gone 2nd fastest, the Lannon Racing driver. Think Pink is his motto, and he's there in 2nd place at the moment. Look at that, 0.074 off the pace of Sandy Mitchell. So a fascinating start to things at this precise moment in time for him. He's obviously doing a fair job. Let's have a look at his dashboard. You can see there to the right-hand side the kilometers per hour he's getting up to. Now remember, for every 50 miles an hour, you're doing 80 kilometers an hour. So I make that he's doing just under 150 miles an hour through that point of the course. So a very fast part of the lap here for Piers Pryor. Full commitment as he charges through these sweeping sections of right-handers, and he's giving it plenty of good gusto out there on the circuit. Now we're taking a look at the sector times at the moment. Piers Pryor may be second fastest in the session, but he's currently the fastest of all in the third sector. So if he can just find a little bit more pace, then he's got a great opportunity here to go even faster still.
I mean, especially when you've got to get things like the ounce corners, which used to be known as the Audi S, and that's a big point of the lap. And if you can get that right, you can nail the apex as you need to before you go into Kumo. And the final corner, named after the great Arie Luyendyk, as here's Philip Russell from team currently 6th. There's looks like Elliot Mason, Jake, has had an off-track moment.
I think you could be right there. So Mason's had a moment or two around the circuit. Couldn't quite make out what it is that he's done there. But now we have 14 of the 15 drivers in the field having set fast laps. The only one who hasn't yet is this man, Max Meyer, who is pushing hard to try and get a fast lap in practice. But obviously he's also trying to find the ultimate pace for a good qualifying lap. And that sometimes comes at the expense of solid laps in practice. He's just looking for a true line of pace around the circuit, and the young Spaniard is giving it absolutely everything he's got. One of the rising talents of the world of IAME karting, of course. He's been a great talent in the world of Mini X30 and Junior X30 over the years. Did senior last season, and certainly towards the end of last season, I should say, certainly came in and had a look at it. Has been in the FIA karting European and World Championships as well, represented his country in the FIA Karting Academy as well. So a very talented young racer, Max Meyer, and certainly one to keep an eye on for the future, as is pretty much everybody in this field. They all have varying degrees of talent in different categories of motorsport. Here's Matthew Gauthier-Thornton, and he is currently in P5, 4/10 of a second off the pace, half a second roughly, covering the top 6 in practice. That bodes well for qualifying.
It definitely does, and Zandvoort, as you said earlier, Jake, is the track that when you get... Piers Pryor's had a moment off on circuit. So 15 cars out of the field on circuit at the moment. It looks like Sandy Mitchell has just gone second quickest to 1 minute 30.267. So he's not that far off of Teddy Wilson. And bearing in mind that Wilson came into this, Jake, as the first winner at Imola, and then Sandy Mitchell decided, well, if you can do that...
Yeah, he's done.
Teddy Wilson has done all...
So I think we were still losing out to you a little bit there. I'm not entirely sure why, but still going strong, and obviously still plenty of activity as the competitors are running around the circuit. We're looking at the time delta there, which is a fascinating graphic. Gives you a bit of an idea as to where these guys are finding the time and how hard they're pushing. Here's Michael J. Preston, currently in P4 now, having worked his way up into position. Look at that, 0.150 off the fastest time of Teddy Wilson, Alex. That's less than 0.2 of a second between the top 4 cars.
That's not much at all, Jake. Hopefully that's... I've had to sort of come out of the call and come back in. Unfortunately, yeah, this score's being used like nobody. So just bear with us. Apologies on that front. We were looking to make it a really, really good show. And yeah, technical difficulties again. And everyone's deciding, yeah, we're going to race at the Le Mans 24 Virtual. What is it? 200 drivers from 37 different nationalities. But we're not interested in that, are we? No. We're interested in good old Formula 3 action here in the...
Yes, indeed, and fair play to all of the drivers who have been with us since the start of the season. We've got 15 of them tonight. Wilson, Mitchell, Pryor, Preston, Gauthier-Thornton, Russell, Ben White, George Palozzi, Elliot Mason and Stephen Healy. Then the likes of Sammy Venables, as Preston goes faster than Mitchell, and Wilson's gone faster than all of them for a 1 minute 30.070. So still some very impressive performances. There's Ben White for the Year 1 Racing team. And you can tell, obviously, that's the Year 1 Racing team, the resplendent colours. And Ben White gets extra brownie points because he's running in the traditional London Olympic Rowing Club's colours for his race helmet, that of Graham and Damon Hill, and Josh Hill, of course, as well. So you get bonus points for that, Ben White.
Yes, definitely brownie points from both of us. You're definitely us two in the booth.
So there is Palozzi, running currently in 9th position, 1.3 seconds off the pace. We've got just less than a minute left of the session. And obviously it's still very, very close up at the top end. We don't really know who's going to get the best lap because Wilson is the fastest and he's going faster again. But they're only going to really have 2 flying laps of running to get these cars up to the front end of the grid. Let's just remind you as we come to the end of the session here of the format. We'll show that for you in a moment once again on screen. But Wilson, Preston, Mitchell, Pryor covered by under 0.3 of a second. Gautier Thornton currently 5th position. And then we have Russell, White, Mason, Max Meyer, who's now 9th. And then Palozzi, Venables, Healy, Smithson, Gelman. And finally is Austin Foster as we're in the final 10 seconds of the practice session. And it's this man, Teddy Wilson, who has gone fastest of all. And he is yet again a threat here tonight, as the man in 3rd position in the timing screens is making the bid to try and get up to the title winning position. He is almost there already, Alex, but obviously it's about getting the job done and finished ultimately. So it's always going to be a very interesting situation. Here's the race format once again. Qualifying is next up. It'll take 10 minutes to get through the qualifying session, and that will give us 2 flying laps, essentially, around the course. Then we'll have the sprint race of 15 minutes, a nice gap in between, which we'll have a 10-minute warm-up in, and then the feature race of 20 minutes. There'll be a short pause in between so that the drivers can get themselves into the warm-up session, but there's plenty of action to come. Here we are at Circuit Park Zandvoort. I'm Jake Sanson, he's Alex Goldschmidt, and we're here for the season finale of the Custom Racewear Formula 3 Season 1 from Downforce Racing UK and GoBobby.uk, and brought to you, of course, by Simutec Technologies. Cars going out onto the pit straight now. Alex, it is time for qualifying. Bring it on. Well, we will bring it on as soon as Alex Goldschmidt returns to us, but obviously he is hard at work making sure his connection is unsullied as it is by various other sim racers around the globe. They're all doing their best to show us up a little bit tonight. It could well be the status that Alex will come in between races, essentially, and in between sessions, and I'll have to handle things from Downforce HQ. But the cars are out on circuit, putting themselves through their paces, and obviously everybody wanting to get a rather fast lap in as soon as is humanly possible. But it's never easy to know who is going to get the best of things in the early stages of these qualifying sessions. The drivers obviously wanting to put on a bit of a show here. There is the graphic for Smithson. You can see what gear he's in as he goes through, drops into 3rd gear through that penultimate right-hander, and then comes back up through the throttle once again. But we're going to see some hopefully very exciting lap times from these guys as they try to go around the circuit in full fettle. And you can see also the sector times when they go purple and green. You'll know how quick the drivers are going around the course. So that gives us plenty of data. I do love the SDK timing system. It gives you plenty of information at just a couple of clicks. So it's always very good news for us. And obviously the competitors are trying to do the most that they can around the circuit. But it's always a very, very tricky part of the course, this Zandvoort. You're trying to get up to speed as soon as is humanly possible. But these guys are going to give us plenty of excitement over the course of the next 8 minutes.
They will, Jake. Can you hear me loud and clear now?
Yes, that is better. There is still a little bit of an issue there, but I think that's to do with Discord obviously being overloaded. There's not a lot we can do about that, so we'll just have to do the best we can.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, with this qualifying session, bit of a lock-up there. That was, I think, who was that? I think that might have been Philip Russell or maybe Harry Smithson. Not too sure, but yeah, as you were saying, Jake, the graphics looking really good, and Sandy Mitchell looks to be doing a really good job in the number 6. Obviously, we've got a few drivers. People have been asking where Matt Caruana is. He hasn't popped up yet, guys. I don't know what's happened to him. But yeah, the fan club has definitely been out for Matt. So we'll see what happens with that.
Is he having a night off, potentially?
Well, I think, what was it? Keelan Watkins on YouTube has got, I'm guessing Matt isn't racing then. Remind him he should be, is what Ben.
Well, he's certainly earned a breather if he's having one. Because he worked
Max Myers had a bit, yeah. Max Myers had an off-track excursion. Elliot Mason, P6 there, Jake. But what a lap so far from Sandy Mitchell.
Yeah, so far so good. It's looking pretty handy out there for the competitors. Matthew Gautier-Thornton is currently showing up as second in the rankings, although Sandy Mitchell, of course, has yet to complete his first flying lap, so we'll get a handle on that one. For some reason, our timing screen seems to have had a little bit of fun now as well. So we'll try and bring that back up to scratch as soon as is humanly, but it's had a little bit of a hiccup. So we will try and get it all sorted as soon as we humanly can. But here at Zandvoort, obviously, drivers are pushing to the limit. They're trying to get the best out of these cars and at these apexes of the circuit. Sandy Mitchell coming round, trying to get a decent lap time in. He wants to make sure we've obviously got a very, very strong lap in front of us. And it is going to be a very difficult situation for the competitors as they run through. But we are watching Sandy Mitchell, who has just gone through and put up a fast time. In fact, he's pulled off the lap straight away. Teddy Wilson now running in second place as he tries to get his way up the order. So Teddy Wilson trying to get close in. Matthew Gautier-Thornton is currently in second place. There he is, trying to close up on Ben White, who's on a flying lap as well. So already some fascinating situations for our competitors. They really are giving us plenty of drama and entertainment at this moment in time. So through we go in qualifying. We're in the second half of the qualifying session now, as the competitors continue to work their magic around the circuit. So these drivers obviously pushing hard. Oh, that looked like Bradley Gelman went off there. So a bit of an issue there for Brad Gelman, having a slight hiccup there, trying to figure out what the situation was there for him. So the competitors are obviously pushing hard to try and get the most out of their cars at this very sensitive time of the race. Because this is where races can be made or break, because obviously the drivers are trying to get themselves in a fairly decent position at this stage, but it's always going to be a very difficult situation for the competitors. They know that they're always going to have a tough time, obviously balancing, making sure that they've gone for the fast lap time to get a decent position on the grid. But if they're not in a high position, they obviously need to make good use of the start. So there are so many variables that need to be taken into account at this point. Not entirely sure what's happened with our live timing. We will try and get it back as soon as is humanly possible. It seems to be having a slight temper tantrum. Honestly, you have one race in France that's got everybody's attention all around the world, and it seems to have played havoc with everything, but we will get it sorted. So the competitors are still trying to find that elusive lap time. They still want to get there up at the fast point, and they are still doing absolutely everything in their power to push for the lap. There is Matthew Gautier-Thornton, but it's still Sandy Mitchell who is out in front. That's better. Our timing screen has returned to us. That is very good news. So a slight hiccup there. We've only got a handful of drivers actually on the circuit at the moment setting laps, would you believe? There's Max Meyer. He's just finished a lap by the look of it and gone 6th fastest. But yet again, I haven't seen a lap time yet from this man, Piers Pryor, and he's left it to the last minute. This is what he did last time, if you remember. He was the last man out to get a lap time in, and he banged it up for pole position in the very last moments of the session at Gilles Villeneuve. Now he's got to try and do it again here at Zandvoort. So out of the final turn. And is this going to be a qualifying lap for Piers Pryor to be proud of? We're going to find out because he's going to cross the line and come through to... is this start the lap? Yes, it is. So Piers Pryor is on his... No, he's come through already. 7th position with a flying lap there of a 1:31.679. So not quite as spectacular as we saw from him at Montreal, but certainly fast enough to be a contender in the mix. But there's only 4 cars out on circuit at present. That is Matthew Gauthier-Thornton, Harry Smithson, Brad Gelman and Piers Pryor. And looks as though we've lost Smithson to the pit lane. Brad Gelman coming across the line to try and make an improvement. Has he done it? No, he's still there in 15th position, but I think he's well aware of the fact that he's not really going to be able to get much more from this car on this circuit. So with a minute to go, unless Piers Pryor has got something pretty sweet in the can. And look at that. Fastest in each sector so far, Piers Pryor. So there might be a pole position snatcheroo from Piers Pryor here as he comes through the left-hander. The car drifting slightly, but he's got plenty of opposite lock. Now powering his way down to the next part of the sector. And if it's purple again, you can tell that Piers Pryor is going to be on it. Yes, indeed he is. So Piers Pryor is making a really good run of this. So there is where his position currently lies. Look at this. He is fastest of all in each of the 4 sections of the course. Not quite in the 5th, but he's still got good pace. Piers Pryor might be about to do what he did in Canada. Snatch away pole position from Sandy Mitchell. Bows out of the final turn, blasting down the straight. Up through the gears. Can Piers Pryor snatch pole position away? We're about to find out as he comes across the line. 5th. That end of the lap was not quite as rosy as he wanted it to be. But he did a very good job regardless. A very good run there from Piers Pryor. So close to the top end. So that was a fabulous bit of racing from us. And certainly the competitors there gave us plenty of entertainment. So let's bring you the starting grid positions. There it is. Sandy Mitchell and Teddy Wilson from Matthew Gauthier-Thornton and Michael J. Preston. Piers Pryor and Philip Russell from Max Meyer and George Palozzi. Then Venables and Smithson, Mason and White. And then we have Healy, Foster and Gelman next up in position. The cars are getting themselves ready for the start. So we obviously need to be in a good position. Cracking qualifying, Alex, but the race is next up. And so we're going to go to the starting grid. And the cars are ready in position. Custom Racewear Formula 3 from Zandvoort. Cars are in position. Let's see if we're going to get a strong start as we've got Mitchell and Wilson on the front row of the starting grid. And they are ready for battle.
Anticipated about what's going to happen here. Apologies, I had a bit of a technical difficulty here. Had to reset the router, but looking forward to 2 great races here. 15-minute sprint here at Circuit Park Zandvoort. Wow. Could be decided what happens with this title very, very soon. I've got a definite feeling in my gut there, Jake.
Well, this is going to be a close battle for the victory. All of the drivers know what's at stake. So let's see if we are going to get the fight for the title that we've been hoping for. The cars are in position. It is the Custom Racewear Formula 3 season finale. And the drivers are ready for action here at Zandvoort. So cars in position. We're obviously waiting for this race to get underway in fine style. And when they do, we'll be racing at Zandvoort. And who is going to get the best start? We will find out very shortly indeed. But obviously all of the competitors are going to want the clean getaway from the line. Mitchell on the outside line. Wilson on the inside line. Then Gauthier-Thornton, Preston, Pryor, Russell, Meyer, Palozzi, Venables, Smithson, Mason, White, Healy, Foster and Gelman. And the cars will blast down to that first corner. And we will find out if Sandy Mitchell can hold on to his lead. All he has to do essentially is bring it home with the car still looking like a Formula 3. And he will be the champion. This is the race that decides it. 5 lights come on when they go out. Let's race at Zandvoort. Cracking start from Mitchell, but it looks like an even better start from Teddy Wilson. He blasts forward and gets away into the first corner in the lead. Gauthier-Thornton has beaten Piers Pryor off the line. But Wilson is going to hold the lead to the inside line. Gauthier-Thornton going straight on there on the inside line. And it's already an absolutely thrilling tussle as the field makes their way through the first couple of corners. It's been an absolutely sensational start, but it's Wilson out in front, and that's Mitchell hanging on in front of Gauthier-Thornton. So he's got himself into a good position, and we've got a shot further back. I think that's Pryor. Is that Pryor in trouble already? I think it might be Piers Pryor who's gone around. Yes, it is. Disaster already for Piers Pryor as he finds himself now down at the back of the field. That is definitely not the position he wanted to find himself in on the first lap. But unfortunately, that is motor racing, and that is sometimes where you find yourself. On board with Michael J. Preston, as he's now trying to close up on Matthew Gauthier-Thornton. That's Max Meyer behind us. So Max Meyer is already in pursuit, and Harry Smithson is coming through there as well as we ride on board with Michael J. Preston on the nose of the car. But Sandy Mitchell, further up the road in second position, is going to want an even stronger race of this, and he is trying to gain ground on the race leader, Teddy Wilson. So the battle is already charging hard. Great camera views within iRacing. You can see so much of these cars as they come around the circuit. And this is what Sandy Mitchell sees as he blasts onto the tail of Teddy Wilson as they come through. Great racing already here at Zandvoort as we bring the cars into position. So let's see the battle. Behind the back, that looks like Michael J. Preston trying to bring his way into the action as he gets close up there behind Matthew Gauthier-Thornton, and into the pits has come Foster. So that is Austin Foster in the pits, I'm afraid, and he's already had some problems or two of his own. So that is not the situation we wanted to see him in at this early phase of the race. But unfortunately, that is where we find ourselves. So a big difficulty there in the race. But certainly this battle between Wilson and Foster is going to be pretty special if the race continues up in this manner. So the drivers continue to charge forward. And still, there is this tense opposition between Wilson and, of course, your man in the mix there as well, Sandy Mitchell. It's going to be a very, very tough battle between these two as they continue to fight for supremacy. Now we're waiting to see who's going to make the first blink of these cars as they come through in formation. But Teddy Wilson leads the way at present. Sandy Mitchell still right up close to him as they run together in position. So Wilson there in front of Mitchell, Gauthier-Thornton, then it is Preston. Max Meyer in 5th position. There he is, running in P5 ahead of Smithson, Mason, White, Healy and Pryor. So Pryor's got himself back into position. And then we have Venables, Russell, Gelman, Palozzi and Foster. So an absolutely fantastic comeback from Foster already, having had a trip to the pits, and now he's all over the back of Palozzi. So this is going to be an interesting little tussle for those guys as they run together. Here's Ben White, running in P7 at the moment for the Year 1 Racing team, as he tries to find his way further up the road. But still, Teddy Wilson under massive pressure from Sandy Mitchell, and it looks like Venables has made a trip to the pit lane now, so that's very unfortunate for Sammy Venables, but he is now in the pits.
Yeah, I think Foster, but also George Palozzi in the number 9. So, as we did say earlier on, this track does bite hard, and when it does, you definitely get spat out and hung out to Teddy Wilson at the moment, doing what he needs to do to keep Sandy Mitchell for the race victory, but it won't do the young Scot away from what's effectively going to be championship win.
Well, Sandy Mitchell,
in 11 minutes time.
The thing is, Sandy Mitchell is going to want to try and take the win if he's got an opportunity to, but he won't want to risk his position either, because he knows that even if he wins the race, he's going to start down in 10th position for the second race, because obviously it is a reverse grid in the top 10. Oh, and that's a mistake from Wilson! Wilson spins and loses it right in front of Sandy Mitchell! Oh, disaster for Teddy Wilson! I can't believe it! He made the mistake, he ran wide, and Teddy Wilson loses the race lead!
Not what Teddy Wilson wanted there, and that has dropped him all the way down to at least 6th or 7th position. And that means that Matthew Preston, who's 8th in the points at the moment, now up to 2nd place. No, Gauthier-Thornton up into P2 now, having got through the tight and twisty section here at Zandvoort. But what a moment for Teddy Wilson. That has really not helped.
Wow, Mitchell now leads the way then, and the battle is on for 2nd place between Gauthier-Thornton and Preston. Here comes Preston, having a look on Gauthier-Thornton. So the battle now becomes for 2nd place as Mitchell is essentially on his own, looking for his 3rd win in a row, having taken both the victories in the end at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve last time out. But Michael J. Preston is looking for his bid to get past Matthew Gauthier-Thornton. But this is a fantastic run from Preston, running in third position. He really seems to have the measure of this Zandvoort circuit. He's lost a little bit of ground to Gouty Thornton, but he's still got time on his side. It's not a massive panic. Here's Piers Pryor, now in 10th position. Now, if I'm Piers Pryor, you're obviously a racing driver wanting to get yourself into a good position, but do you cut your losses here? He's in 10th position, knowing that in race 2, he could have pole position if he runs in 10th position to the flag. So, knowing that the sprint race hasn't quite gone according to plan, he may well want to decide to remain there in 10th position and basically get himself back into contention. Now, here's Teddy Wilson. He doesn't care squat about the reverse grid draw. He's going to try and get himself in behind Ben White and go for the move for 6th position. He's got a good chance down the home straight, and White is going to be a sitting target if Wilson is going to make his ultimate bid, but there's not quite that enough space there to make the ultimate gung-ho for position. Teddy Wilson, though, has set the fastest lap of the race, driving angry after being furious with himself, essentially, for making that mistake that cost him the lead.
Yeah. White just up ahead in the Year 1 Racing 21. But yeah, I think we've seen it before with Piers, Jake, where he started from pole position, let's not forget, and then had a bit of a moment. So it might be a case that if he can push himself forward, to put himself in the middle half of the top 10, might give him the confidence to move forward. We know how capable Piers is, but it's very different here in the sim racing.
It is tough, that is for sure. It's very tough in the world of iRacing Formula 3, so these guys have obviously got to give it everything they've got. There's Harry Smithson, running currently in P5 behind Preston, and Max Meyer, who is solid and smooth in 4th place at the moment from Teddy Wilson. But Sandy Mitchell is looking good for the title, out in the lead, and look, he's on his own after Teddy Wilson's mistake. So Mitchell is just cantering to the title. And look back, we've got a great battle going on further back. This is Preston trying to come around the outside of Gouty Thornton. Gouty Thornton protects around the inside of Tarzan. And Preston is going to try and go the long way round. Gets back on the power. Tries to get up alongside. They are virtually nudging each other through that apex. But Preston's going to hold the inside line for Hugenholtz. Is he going to get there? No, Gouty Thornton breaks later and swings back around the outside. Great racecraft from both drivers.
Sorry, I'm just trying to sort out some issues here from a technical perspective.
Right, well,
from my side.
I'll take point. We'll come back to you at the end of the race because we have 7 minutes remaining. So we want to stay with these battles as much as we can. Preston in behind Gouty Thornton, still attacking, trying to get his move here for 2nd position. And Preston is not backing down from the challenge. We've got Meyer in 4th position. Harry Smithson and Teddy Wilson. There's Teddy Wilson now into 6th place past Ben White. 12 seconds off the lead, so he wants to make as much ground as he possibly can. To answer my earlier question, Piers Pryor has got past Elliot Mason, who at this point of call is looking likely to start the 2nd race from pole position, and that's obviously a bit of a pressure cooker moment for the Fury Sim Sport driver. But he'll want to get himself into as comfortable a position as humanly possible. Here's Max Meyer, who is watching the battle in front of him unfold pretty calmly at the moment in 4th place. He can just let those two duke it out for position and potentially grab a podium if one of them comes a cropper. So Max Meyer, only 15 years of age, of course, the Spaniard, but doing an absolutely terrific job here in the Custom Racewear F3 series on iRacing. Massive thanks to Simutec Technologies for all their support, and of course to GoBobby.uk for keeping Downforce Racing UK tickety-boo during COVID-19. So Sandy Mitchell leads the way in what is essentially his swan song, the race that crowns him champion. If he can hold this together, Gouty Thornton and Preston are 0.2 of a second apart, and Max Meyer is trying to find the gusto to make the move. But here is Ben White trying to get away from the likes of Russell, Pryor and Mason, and he's pulled out a decent gap over them now, but Teddy Wilson is becoming a microscopic dot in front of him. So this is all about fluidity now from Ben White. We seem to have lost Sammy Venables from the fray, which is a shame, but Brad Gelman is down in 14th, so they're the big names to have tumbled down the order. Preston again attacking Gouty Thornton. From Max Meyer's point of view, he's just got to keep this calm. He doesn't need to push too hard. He essentially just needs to be very smooth, very controlled, quite relaxed. He doesn't need to get himself into hot water. Here's Michael J. Preston, still pushing hard. 3rd position. 4/10 of a second up behind Matthew Gauthier-Thornton. They're 4 seconds adrift of Mitchell. He's in a different ozone layer at the moment as he's managed to get a decent lead out of the rest of the field. But this is going to be a very intense end to the race for these two drivers. Matthew Gauthier-Thornton and Michael J. Preston are going to finish things up in style as they come down to Tarzan into the braking zone. Keeping things together. Is that a little bit of a mistake from Matthew Gauthier-Thornton? Just a little one. And Michael J. Preston might be able to pounce here. Watch for Max Meyer behind as he tries to get his run. Michael J. Preston darts out the outside. Gauthier-Thornton covers the inside, and as they come off the turn, they're back on the power. This is going to be pretty treacherous stuff from these two as they keep on the momentum. But Mitchell, Gauthier-Thornton, Preston, Meyer. Here comes Preston. Preston really charging now because he comes around the outside. He's going to try and get alongside and tries to tuck it around the outside. It goes off. Oh, they locked wheels. Just a slight wheel banging, and Preston goes over into the gravel. What a disaster for Michael J. Preston. That couldn't have lasted for long. And unfortunately, oh, he's come back out in front of Smithson. Smithson was coming through. And that's not going to make Preston any happier, but I'm afraid Smithson had every right to commit to that corner and commit to that apex. So Wilson's come through into 4th position. Smithson's come through into 5th position as a result of all of that. But I'm afraid Michael J. Preston's chances of 2nd place are now a pipe dream as we watch Matthew Gauthier-Thornton in 2nd place. But even he's not safe now for 2nd because Max Meyer is only a 2nd adrift. So that could be an interesting run to the flag for those two. And still the battle rages between these two cars as they run for 2nd place. Now just check out the dashboard on the right hand side. You can see how fast Gauthier-Thornton is getting up to. About 240, 250 kilometers an hour as they get up to the braking zone there for Tarzan, and changes down to 2nd place, trying to shake off the Spaniard, who is going 4/10 of a second a lap quicker than Gauthier-Thornton at present. So that's not going to be easy for him to shake away. But this man, Sandy Mitchell, is 2 minutes and 18 seconds away from clinching the title. He's been so strong and so smooth over the course of the season. We had 4 different race winners in the first 4 races of the year, and now he is having an absolute barn dance to the flag here as he runs out in the lead. He won both the races at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve, and of course that makes him a 3-time race winner, but he's going to make it 4 here at Zandvoort, which would mean that the only race this season, the only circuit this season he hasn't taken a win on, is at Silverstone. But it's been an absolute joy to watch him through the year. There is Gauthier-Thornton still hanging on in front of Max Meyer to the tune of 7/10 of a second, which is not a lot at all. So those two continue their tussle for position. Kind of want to see what's going on further back because Smithson is under some pressure now from Ben White. Here's Ben White charging after Harry Smithson, and he's going to make his bid up the inside line into the chicane. And surely this is going to be Ben White through into the position. Yes, it is. Nice overtake there from Ben White as he gets through into P5 past Smithson in the dying minutes of this sprint race, the last sprint race of the season. So a fantastic run. And I can tell you that Sandy Mitchell is on his last lap before claiming the title. So it's been a solid effort from Sandy Mitchell all season long. But he has now got himself into the position where he can just run away and streak it home. Here he comes through this final lap of the Zandvoort circuit. Gauthier-Thornton under still massive pressure as Max Meyer is trying to get that 2nd place away from him. This is going to be Max Meyer's best result of the season if he stays in the top 3. But he can still sense that 2nd place might just be possible. And if he makes a mistake on this last lap, Teddy Wilson is only 5 seconds down the road, ready to pounce. But here is the man, the Flying Scotsman, who's been absolutely meteoric through this Custom Racewear F3 iRacing season. And he's been absolutely terrific. In this 4th and final race weekend of the season, Sandy Mitchell is going to come through. He's got time on his hands here. He doesn't need to push this. He just needs to cruise it home in these last 4 corners of the lap. So through he comes. Throttle application is spot on. And Sandy Mitchell is going to come home for race win number 4. Out of the 7 starts we have seen in this series. It's a crushing victory for Sandy Mitchell as he comes out of the final turn and takes the checkered flag. And Sandy Mitchell wins at Zandvoort and he becomes the Custom Racewear Formula 3 iRacing champion for Season 1 2020. Brilliant result. And who's going to get 2nd? It is going to be Gauthier-Thornton who gets there in front of Max Meyer. who both drivers claim their best results of the season. Wilson fights back to 4th place in front of Ben White and Harry Smithson. 7th place in the end for Michael J. Preston, who comes home in front of Piers Pryor, which means that the front row will see Philip Russell, who finishes 9th in this race, start 2nd on the grid for the feature race. But Elliot Mason, who comes home now in 10th position, will be the man who starts pole position for race 2 in front of Healy, Palazzi, Gelman, Foster and Venables, who retired early on. But Sandy Mitchell has become the new champion. What about that, Alex Goldschmidt?
Absolutely dominant display. Sorry about that. I've just had so many technical issues that tonight has been one of the most anticipated things I've looked forward to doing, and everything gets thrown at me. Apologies for that, ladies and gentlemen, but can you hear me loud and clear now, Jakey?
We certainly can. Yes, we certainly can. But a fabulous result.
Yeah, yes, 5. That's 4 wins. That's 50% of the races so far, and yeah, I'm looking forward to this mouth-watering prospect of what's going to be an interesting reverse grid top 10 for the 20-minute feature race to take us out of what's been a fantastic season here. Okay, 4 rounds, 8 races, but I think the best is still yet to come, because now Sandy Mitchell can race to his heart's content because the pressure is off.
Absolutely, and essentially all of the drivers will want to bow out of this season on a high note now, so they're using this warm-up session to have a little bit of fun out there. Obviously, they want to make sure that they finish with a decent result in the tank. A shame that we have seen a few of the drivers not be able to make it for this last race of the season. Obviously, prior commitments from a few of the drivers, but we've definitely had plenty of entertainment from them over the course of this final race meeting of the season, and certainly race 1 gave us plenty to write home about, so I have a feeling that the second race will do just as much for their reputation, and it'll be fabulous fun. They'll have plenty of great racing to come for. But the Custom Raceway Formula 3 Series gave us lots of drama and lots of excitement through the 4 weekends, so now this last race is all bets are off. They can have a bit of fun out there, and we can enjoy the excitement and drama that they're going to give us.
I'll be able to commentate side by side for the first time this evening as well.
That's
true. It all started promisingly with my Dutch introduction, and then I think multiple things happened. I've had to reset. I've actually had to restart and reboot my laptop, and I've also had to reboot the router here as well. So
fair enough.
I think I'll be talking to my internet provider saying, right, you need to up our limits.
What you need to do is essentially you need to give that hamster that's controlling the wheel that does your dial-up a little bit more cheetah food. That's what you need to do.
I'm holding kettle black there, Sanson. But now we're just over a fifth of the way through the 10-minute warm-up. We've had a really good grid so far, Jake, but just to see, such an old school track like Zandvoort, and I was trying to, this is actually the good time to give our viewers out there some statistics and some facts and figures.
Indeed it is.
To say about Circuit Zandvoort. So, it was the first street race in Zandvoort was held on the 3rd of June 1939, but the circuit we know now initially wasn't constructed until after the Second World War, and it says that contrary to popular belief that John Hugenholtz cannot be credited with the design of the Zandvoort track, but he was involved as the chairman of the Dutch Auto Racing, the Netherlands Auto Racing Club, before becoming the first track director in 1949. But you want to know who the fastest lap has been set by on the original circuit that started in 48 until 1989? You're going to like this one.
Well, I probably am. I'm going to guess it's somebody pretty prolific. I would say it's probably somebody of the ilk of Niki Lauda, maybe.
You'll get. I think I'd basically say you're pretty much disco in terms of warmth, like hot or cold.
Oh, really? Okay.
The race lap record was in 1985.
Right.
Formula One.
Yeah.
McLaren tag of Alain Prost.
Oh, it was his teammate.
Formula One world. It was his teammate in the McLaren tag. So I've had the pleasure of being at Zandvoort as well back in 2013 when Mike Rockenfeller secured the Deutsche Tourenwagenmasters title. Augusto Farfus won the race. It was my first ever experience at a track overseas, full stop, but also as media. And I was covering it there, and I was there was a funny story because after dinner in the hospitality for Audi, they started clearing the tables because there was a DJ booth set up with the big old like twisty lights that you normally see on some of them. And they cleared the tables, and in comes Mike Rockenfeller with the biggest stogie I've ever seen in his mouth, and he
Sounds
tries and
about right.
shoves it down Miguel, and he tries and shoves it down Miguel Molina's throat at the time, which was quite funny because I saw a couple of pictures a few weeks later. But yeah, I mean it's a track that I really hold in high regard. Here's Piers Pryor. He's I think at the end of the day, I mean, Stephen Healy, Jake, has gone top with 5 minutes of the session still remaining. Harry Smithson's gone off track, so you've got Sammy Venables, George Polozzi, Michael Preston and Philip Russell all on track at the moment as well, but only 5 lap times have been set so far. Mathieu Gauthier-Thornton has gone out as Philip Russell has had an off-track moment, but this is the time to get it wrong, in the warm-up or in practice, but in the race, we've got 20 minutes, a reverse grid top 10, anything can happen.
And this is the man who's got all the pressure to deal with. Elliot Mason, pole position for the reverse grid race. So obviously all the chips are on his plate essentially for this one. He's got to be the man with all the pressure to soak up in this coming race, because he is the man who's got to start from the front of the grid as Preston goes fastest in warm-up just as I spot him out on circuit. He goes fastest at 1:31.534, and obviously these last 20 laps of the season are going to give us plenty of intrigue and entertainment. You've got to say there's a handful of drivers who will really want to bow out of this season on a high note, and if there's one man in this field who will want to win this last race of the season, probably more than anybody else on the grid in terms of how close they have come before, I think there's almost certainly a bit of a will for Piers Pryor to win this one. I mean, Michael J. Preston has had his moments over the season as well, and it would be great to see him get the victory. But you almost have this sense that, you know, Piers Pryor is praying to some divine deity to give him the guidance to get around this circuit, because everything else seems to have fallen on stony ground.
Custom Racewear gods at the moment, considering he's an ambassador for the brand as well.
So Stephen Healy taking his way. I swear he's still got a sofa on his nose cone. Someone's going to have to explain that one to me. What is the significance of a sofa on the nose?
No, yeah, well, that's on both sides as well,
It
Jake.
is. I've never said that in commentary before. I'm sure someone can let me know why there's a sofa on Stephen Healy's nose. I'm sure that makes perfect sense to somebody. It doesn't to me. There's Max Meyer with the FP0 colour scheme, one of the top up-and-coming sim racing teams out there. But this young man, Max Meyer, has definitely taken to COVID-19 sim racing like a duck to water. He's been absolutely flying and rapid wherever he competes. So this is a man you need to keep an eye out for. Fluent in English, of course, he is half English and half Spanish in terms of where he is domiciled for. His parents are both English, of course, but they are very much based out in Iberia nowadays. And when it's not cars in that family, it's boats, because they do an awful lot of work in that particular area of commerce. And to be perfectly honest, that sounds pretty good after a nice day out at Zandvoort. Just pop over to the beach and get in your boat and have a bit of a la-di-da. Third position for Meyer so far. Can he get on the podium for the last time?
I was hoping you were going to say, rather than la-di-da, I thought, yeah, have a bit of a siesta on the water.
No, that's Kimi Räikkönen. That's Kimi.
No, that's in Monaco.
That's true.
In Monaco.
That's true. Yeah, good point. Piers Pryor goes fastest. So Piers Pryor obviously putting his intentions on this final race of the season very clear. He's going to start it from, I think, 4th position on the grid, because he came home 7th place. So as long as he stays out of trouble on the first lap, but then we've said this all season long with Piers Pryor, as long as he stays out of trouble on the first lap, he'll be fine. But if Piers is wondering what on earth is happening to me, why is all this chaos happening, and what do I have to do to catch a break? Well, don't worry, because last night in the McLaren race Crofty and I had a bit of a banter with. Carlos Sainz crashed out on the first corner and ended up finishing behind team boss Zach Brown. Not that I'm spreading that rumour about too much, that Zach Brown is faster than Carlos Sainz. I wouldn't dream of sharing that one around the world too often.
I saw it happen. I was in bed because I saw the whole thing. And it was really good to see that Jake alongside Crofty. That was definitely a tag team and a half.
Well, I mean, it was quite funny after the race. I did say to Zach Brown, well, with lap times like yours there, Zach, surely Lando Norris's days are numbered. And he went, haha, very funny. So clearly he didn't think so either.
Well, considering the fact that he's also been doing some sim racing of his own, hasn't he, Zach? He's been in the BP Ultimate Supercar E-Series.
Indeed.
Quite recently as a wild card. And, you know, he let's not forget that Zach has also raced under the United Autosports banner as well.
Yep.
Especially in the Audi R8 back in the day.
I would have liked to have seen him give this a go, to be brutally honest, because he's a very capable racer. And who knows, maybe in the future we can get a few guest ringers onto the position. So there's the warm-up results for those who are of interest. If you had a quick screen grab, you have a perfect opportunity to have a look at that one. But let's talk you through the grid for this final race of the season. And it is going to be an interesting one for Elliot Mason, starting from the front of the grid. He will be there in position with Philip Russell alongside him. Then Piers Pryor is next along. And then it is Michael J. Preston from Harry Smithson and Ben White, Teddy Wilson, Max Meyer, Matthew Gauthier-Thornton and Sandy Mitchell. It is going to be a very tough race from here on out. That is for sure, as the drivers are getting ready and in position. We are ready to go for the last race of this Custom Racewear Formula 3 iRacing series, and it's going to be tough to call as to who is going to get the final win of the year. Elliot Mason starting from pole position. Philip Russell starting alongside him on the front row of the grid. Call a race winner. It's going to be very tough indeed to predict, but these guys are very well aware of what is to come. So the lights come on and we are ready to go racing. 5 lights on the grid here at Zandvoort, and now let's race at Zandvoort. And for the last time in Custom Racewear Formula 3, what a start from Piers Pryor. He's absolutely launching his way through to the front end of the grid. Is he going to get the perfect start? It's going to be 3 wide to the first corner as Michael J. Preston is crowded out there by Elliot Mason and Philip Russell, who's blasted through to second place. Cracking start though from Piers Pryor. He's got the perfect getaway and he leads, but he doesn't want to throw it away. He has thrown it away, I don't believe it! From the lead, and in goes Elliot Mason and Max Meyer. Oh my goodness, Ben White's taken off in that as well. An absolute disaster. And that was Piers Pryor just pushing the tiniest bit too hard. He kicked the wheel over the grass and it's game over for several of them. Mason, Smithson, Wilson, Gelman, all in that one, as is Max Meyer. And Piers Pryor recovers in 8th place in there with Ben White. But that was absolute pandemonium, and it's Michael J. Preston who leads the race on lap 1.
Threaded the eye of the needle through the start, Jake. I mean, that was going to Hunsrug and Rob Slaughtermacher and yeah, just one wheel on the grass, one wheel on, and that will throw a Dallara F312 into a spin. And yeah, just the carnage that happened up. You know, one car even went over the top of Piers Pryor.
It was Max Meyer's car that went over.
Lucky to get away with that one.
Yeah, it was Max Meyer's car that went over the top, I'm afraid. Now look, Sandy Mitchell has got through all that, and he's in 4th position. Yet again, he's found himself into a competitive position here as he runs in behind Matthew Gauthier-Thornton. But it's Michael J. Preston who leads the race at the present moment as they come across the line. So this is obviously going to be a fascinating race for the competitors out there. But Sandy Mitchell is gunning after Matthew Gauthier-Thornton, and he wants the race victory if he got an opportunity now to go for it. So he's going to have a look at 3rd place. Gauthier-Thornton's not going to want to give him an opportunity to get there. But how about this for Philip Russell, who is now in 2nd position? A really strong position for him to be in at this point. So a fascinating start to proceedings. Our timing screen seems to have had a little bit of a hissy fit. We'll have to try and reboot that one. But no, a fascinating situation. It's into the pits. We've got 2 cars in. That is Piers Pryor and it looks like Stephen Healy as well. Both of them have come into the pits to repair their cars, so they will obviously go out now knowing that any chances they might have had earlier in this race of victory are now well and truly over, and that is a real shame from their point of view. So they will now just have to try and get to the end of the race without too much more Sodom and Gomorrah hitting them over the course of this race.
Debris to see after Piers Price's spin, but look at how close Sandy Mitchell is on the back bumper of Matthew Gauthier Thornton. I think Sandy Mitchell wants to close out the show in the right way. Philip Russell, Jake. I mean, the gap between those three is absolutely minute, and it's closing by the second.
Yeah, he's pretty determined. He wants to make this work. And he's absolutely determined that he's going to get the opportunity to grab a race victory. So there is your timing screen back again. Thank goodness for that. As Sandy Mitchell piles on the pressure to Matthew Gauthier Thornton, and Piers Pryor gets out of the way, being lapped out of his way out of the pit. Sandy Mitchell is going to try and line up a move. Gauthier Thornton has to brake late to try and counter-attack, and he nearly goes into the back of Philip Russell as a result, as these three duel away for position. Now Sandy Mitchell is going to have to try and line up a move here. He doesn't want to sit around too long. If he wants to win, he's going to need to commit to it. Up the inside line, Gauthier Thornton moves to cover. Philip Russell is still in the mix there as well. So this is going to be an absolutely fascinating trio racing for second place. Preston is just having a brilliant race up front. He's just in cruise control mode. So here we are again, Gauthier Thornton in behind Philip Russell. Sandy Mitchell there in P4. And through all of that, incredibly, Austin Foster is running in 5th position. He's having an absolute fairy tale race here in 5th place. As now Gauthier Thornton hustling Russell, but Mitchell is in there in 4th position. So Sandy Mitchell wants to take the position away. But look at Philip Russell in the Fordzilla colours. He's just wanting to hang on to this. This will be Russell's best performance if he can hang on to second place. And Preston up front is going to get a worthy victory. So this is going to be pretty solid, as here they go side by side. Russell defending to the inside line. He's not going to let this one get away from him. He darts across to the inside line. What a feint from Gauthier Thornton as he tries to dive through on Russell. Can't get the move. Russell drifts out wide as a result. Gauthier Thornton now alongside, and Mitchell is just a spectator in the best seat in the house. He's going to try and get his way through, but Russell hangs on in front of Gauthier Thornton. Sandy Mitchell still attacking as they come back off Hugenholtz and now up the straight. I hope you guys have got a good seat, but I promise you for the next 14 and a half minutes, you're only going to need the edge of it the way these three are pushing. They come up through the S's and up to the long flowing right-hander. Gauthier Thornton still edging towards Russell. Russell is hanging on to second place by a thread the way he's currently holding it. He's going to get truckloads of pressure from the two men behind. But can Mitchell get past Gauthier Thornton before Gauthier Thornton could go for Russell? Here he comes again for the inside move. Gauthier Thornton tries the long attack now as they come through the left-hander. He's going to try and get the switchback to get the undercut on Russell. Russell holds the line nicely. Here comes Sandy Mitchell, breathing in the exhaust fumes of Gauthier Thornton as they come down to the chicane. Gauthier Thornton having to protect as Mitchell has to move one way and then the other to try and make his move to come through. Can't make the overtaking move stick there. This is absolutely brilliant dueling between these three as Gauthier Thornton is trying every trick in the book to get past Philip Russell, but Philip will just not concede. He is using the karting line all around this Zandvoort circuit. Preston still leads. Russell hangs it on the inside.
Yep, so yeah, very much the case of having to wait to see.
Oh, he's going to break late! He's going to break late round the outside of the tires, and they touched, and Mitchell has just stormed through! I could have seen that coming a mile away, but Russell has ended up being tagged there by Gauthier Thornton, and Sandy Mitchell just hung back, got up the inside and said, thanks very much, boys. You have your accident. I'll get up into second place. That was well read by Sandy Mitchell.
Very much the case because going into the approach into unsettled, Jake, it can really cause a problem for the drivers going through Tarzan.
Well, as a result of the clash between Gauthier Thornton and Russell, Austin Foster is now a couple of car lengths behind them, so he's got a crack at third place here. And you don't really want to be supporting any one driver over another, but what a result it could be for Austin Foster if he manages to get third position with these two still scrapping away in the season finale. We've lost several drivers from this race. We've lost Meyer, Venables and Teddy Wilson. They've all gone. So now we've only got we've got Healy, Pryor, Smithson, Mason and Gelman all compromised from their earlier incidents. Here comes Russell again, having another bid to get past Gauthier Thornton, and he's just driven straight past him as they come up to the braking zone. Nicely done there from Russell.
Yeah, very cleanly done indeed, and that's how it should be, and that's pretty much text.
So now we've got Foster breathing down Gautier Thornton's neck. So let's see if Austin Foster can get his own move. He's got a great opportunity as he comes down the main straight, and Foster's going to go straight by. Austin Foster breaks into 4th position. Nice move there from Foster. So now he's just 1 place away from the podium, and he's got a chance here because Russell and Gautier Thornton are obviously nursing some damage from their incident. So Foster, with a perfectly capable car of bringing this race to a conclusion, and he's driving it quite nicely and smoothly here. If he can keep tabs on Russell, he's got a chance of a podium. He cannot afford to let this opportunity slip in the last race of the season.
No, time sort of ticking away as we're fast getting towards 8.5 minutes completed out of the 20-minute feature race to conclude 2020 Custom Racewear iRacing Formula 3 Championship here at Circuit Park Zandvoort. There's Michael Preston. He's got a healthy lead at the moment, Jake, 3.4 seconds at the moment.
Not for long, not the way Sandy Mitchell's closing in. Mitchell is absolutely hammering that gap down. I think he wants to grab win number 5 out of 8 races. He wants to absolutely blitz this final race weekend as he did in Canada. And he is getting that gap down to Mitchell in the slow corners. There is more of an opportunity for Mitchell to gain ground than there is for Preston to pull away. So this could be a fascinating end to racing. Here's Austin Foster, still about a second or so away from Russell, as Gautier Thornton has dropped like a stone behind these two. So clearly he's got handling difficulties with that car after the accident between the two. But look, Mitchell has just done a 1:30.1, and into the pits comes Russell. Russell pits in, so Russell's clearly got damage as well. That means that Austin Foster is going to take 3rd position if he can keep this together. And there's so many people willing him on here. Austin has had a very tricky season in the Custom Racewear F3. It's not been the fairy tale he was hoping for, but there's a genuine chance now for him to grab a 3rd place finish. He is in P3. He's 5 seconds now ahead of Gautier Thornton. Can he hang on to it? Go get him, boy!
Because we are now at the halfway points of this interesting race. I mean, I never thought I'd see so many trials and tribulations in his own right as a Team Fordzilla driver, but then to see him and Matthew Gautier Thornton clash over that position, Jake, going through Tarzan, was something I don't think many people might have expected watching at home.
Well, about 5 or 6 years ago, I forget exactly how many, I did a fabulous broadcast for Eurosport a few years ago on the do you know the name of the series now escapes me completely. It used to be known as Italian Formula 3000 until the very end of that era. It was single-seaters of this very similar nature. They were former A1 Grand Prix cars. I can't think of the name of the championship. It's completely escaped my memory. But anyway, we had cars dropping out of the race left, right and centre all the way through. At the
Auto GP.
Auto GP, thank you. I knew it was knocking around in the back of my noggin somewhere, but yes, Auto GP. And we had the craziest of races, and we had about 6 different drivers leading. There were only about 11 cars in the entire race, and all 6 drivers that led at one stage ended up retiring before the race got handed on a silver plate to the 2 Coloni cars. But this race has that same sort of vibe to it, because we've had several drivers compete for the victory. Wilson's gone, Meyer's gone, Venables has gone, Pryor has dropped back and is now a lap down, as is Smithson, Gelman and Mason, who started from pole. And we've got several drivers now compromised. Philip Russell is down in 7th after his trip to the pits. Ben White is doing a fair job. He's in 5th place now in front of Palozzi. And Palozzi doing a fair job there. George Palozzi in 6th position, having just done his personal best time of a 1:31.578. But look, that gap is coming down between Preston and Mitchell. The gap's now down to 2.4. So Preston is not safe and sound in the lead here by any stretch of the imagination. Sandy Mitchell is pushing him.
Feels quite close to getting below a 1:30, Jake. He's over 6/10 quicker than the current. That gap is just being absolutely truncated by Mitchell, who's done a fantastic job all the way through this campaign. But I'm really willing Austin Foster on, because he's got a gap between himself and Matthew Gautier Thornton to the tune of around 9 seconds, which is pretty good. So all Austin needs to do is hang on. Yes, so only 12 runners and riders still in this final race. 12.5 minutes completed. There's Philip Russell, currently in P7.
But the thing is, this is smart from Russell because he made a pit stop to repair the car, so he's now got a good car underneath him again that handles properly. By comparison, Gautier Thornton, who was involved in the same incident, he didn't pit and he is losing time, big time. He's losing about 5 seconds a lap, Gautier Thornton. So Russell is only about half a minute behind him. There's a good chance here that Russell could still end up beating Gautier Thornton the way that Matthew is losing time. So it's not done and dusted for him at all. But this boy, Austin Foster, this is a great result if he can hang on to it in third position, because he's been in all sorts of difficulties, all sorts of jeopardy through the season, and he's never had a decent break as Austin Foster. But in the last race of the year, to be one of the drivers who isn't caught up in the first lap accident, to be one of the ones who has got himself into position. Oh, and Mason's had a moment, and I think Mason has crashed out. Yes, indeed, Mason has crashed out of the race. That is a real shame for the pole sitter. So Elliot Mason has had a shunt, and that has well and truly ruined his day, as Ben White there in 5th position is trying to get closer into Gautier Thornton, and he's doing so. The gap is only 12 seconds. Mitchell's just set a fastest lap of 1:29.9 in his bid to close up on Preston, and that's taken 0.8 of a second out of his lead. There's Mitchell. Where's Preston? There he is.
Right, Jake, lap times I'm just seeing. The last lap time around from Matthew Gautier Thornton, nearly a 1:36. Philip Russell has just put in his personal best of the race, a 1:31.18, and he is closing. Gautier Thornton is losing time to Ben White, who's about a second a lap quicker. George Palozzi's running in the mid 1:32s, and Stephen Healy also running pretty well in 8th position, about a second and 1.3 seconds behind Philip Russell. So it looks like the 77 and the 5 will be on the move very, very shortly.
Well, Mitchell has gained 4 places off the start. Whoa, he's really pushing it, Sandy Mitchell. Did you see how much opposite lock he had to use there to keep the car on a straight line? He is properly pushing it to Preston. 0.8 of a second is now the gap between these two. But Preston having made up 10 places to get from 11th to 1st. Mitchell to go from 6th to 2nd. And Foster, of course, has gone from 12th on the grid to 3rd. So this would be a lovely little fairy tale podium. But who's going to get the win? Is it going to be Preston or is it going to be Mitchell? And if those two tangle, goodness me, Austin Foster might be on for the win.
Who knows? I mean, just the way he's going about it, the gap is just really, really closing now. There they are, going into Tarzan. Mitchell has been on an absolute tear of speed. He's definitely got the foot to the floor. And yeah, this has been impressive. Like I said, he's got the pressure off him now. He just had to keep his nose clean rather than have the sofa on it, and get his way through. And now he's got Michael Preston up in front in his sights.
Here we go then. Sandy Mitchell's going to have plenty of time to do this. We've got 4 minutes to go. He doesn't need to rush this opportunity on Michael J. Preston at all. He just needs to give him plenty of pressure and wait for the mistake. Now he's got to read the situation fairly sharply. He doesn't want to get himself into a big position, as Stephen Healy has had a shunt by the look of it. So Stephen Healy has dropped a long way down the order. He's got going again. I wanted to see if we could maybe pick something up, but no, that's not the way it's gone. But look at this, Preston trying to hang on to things as he comes through. Sandy Mitchell is right there behind him now. He's going to line him up as they come into the right-hander. Surely this is going to be the moment Sandy Mitchell's been waiting for. No, he's going to hang back. He's going to let Preston make a mistake, and if he does, he's going to be right there to pounce. But Preston is no slouch. He's going to try every trick in the book to stay in front. Here is Michael Preston, staying in front of Sandy Mitchell. They come through the right-hander, back on the power. Little bit of dab of curb as they come out through and accelerate back onto the straight again. Very close indeed between these two. They are continuing to push. Look at the time delta on the right-hand side of your screen. This gives you a bit of an idea between these two. But Mitchell is going to line up Preston for the opportunistic manoeuvre if he can get there. No, not quite. He's going to have to wait and pick his moment. But this is going to be a very tough fight between these two. Just take a look at the difference between these two in each of the sectors around the lap, and you'll see that Mitchell is just reining Mitchell in. Just that reining Preston in, sorry, little by little. He is chipping away at that advantage of Michael Preston. Preston is the one under all the pressure here. He does not want to lose the lead to the man who's won the last 3 races in a row, wrapped up the title, and he's the king of the season. And Preston moves across to hold off Sandy Mitchell. Brilliant defensive move there. He chops across on the inside line, rolls off the power, and just coasts the car in, keeping that car nice and stable through the mid-turn. So Preston doing a grand job here.
That was absolutely brazen if ever I saw it from Preston. Just really knew where to place the car at the right position on the circuit. And Mitchell is going to be, well, he's got about just under.
And Pryor's gone. Sorry, we've lost Pryor as well now. Pryor's had an accident by the look of it, and I think so too. Well, obviously we lost Mason, but now Piers Pryor has had an accident, and I think that's his day done, which is a real shame. So Gelman's got past him for 10th position, so a real shame for Piers Pryor. He had the lead coming into turn 3, and it just all went wrong from there.
Yeah, looks like we're going to be starting the penultimate lap here at Zandvoort. They've been running in the 1 minute 30,
Here we
so
go.
It could be this plus another.
Mitchell's going to go left. Here we go. Mitchell's trying to come round the high side of Tarzan to try and cut back on the switch. This is beautiful from Sandy Mitchell. Brilliant racecraft, but Preston's not going to give him any space, and he chops him back across. Mitchell has to bail out.
Yeah, through Hugenholtz into Vincerug and then Rob Slaughtermacher. But that was brilliant work there. Mitchell went for it. Preston knew exactly how to capitalise.
So is there going to be another bold move from Sandy Mitchell to get this move on Michael J. Preston? Preston is hanging on to this for dear life. The Southampton University boy is hanging on in front of the Scotsman Sandy Mitchell. And there is nothing to choose between these two. They're going to start the final lap as they come across the line this time by. Mitchell is going to try a unique racing line. Preston trying to hang on to it. Full credit to... Here he goes! Oh, this switch back on the inside line. Can he get the move? No. Preston has rolled off the brakes. Rolled off the power, dabbed the brakes and kept in front of Mitchell. Very close indeed between these two. Can we still get a showdown between these two? Or is Preston going to hold quarter here to Sandy Mitchell? They come through the final 30 seconds of the race, but I think they're going to hit the finish line before then. Massive tack slapper from Mitchell. He's feeling the heat.
Yeah, I think that's probably what he did not want to happen. And when you're pushing on the limit of adhesion, Jake, you push too far, the car will then respond in kind, and it decided to step the back onto the final lap, just under 4/10 between Michael Preston and Sandy Mitchell to conclude the Custom Racewear Formula 3 iRacing Championship here at Zandvoort. Look how quickly Mitchell's got onto the back rear wing of Preston there, Jake. This is absolutely immense from
And this is going to go down to the finish line. It's going to be an absolutely wonderful end to the season as Sandy Mitchell does not give up on Preston. He is reining him in. He's got the slipstream. He's going to try and make the bid as he goes the long way round to the right-hander. Preston could get on the lock stops here, but no, he's smooth. He keeps it nice and stable. Mitchell's going to have another go. He can't go onto the inside of the right-hander. Now he's going to have to try another trick. Goes wide. Preston protects the inside line, but this is how Mitchell caught him last time. He's got plenty of power out of the turn, and he's got another opportunity to the inside line. Preston is already there covering that inside line, but it's the slower way round the corner. So Mitchell may get the momentum off the turn and may get the ultimate dive into the next corner. Here he goes. Preston's ready for him. Mitchell's swarming around, trying to get Preston to cook it on the brakes into the corner. But I think Preston's going to hold this to the flag. They come out of the final couple of corners. Preston should just be able to hang on in front of Sandy Mitchell. One of the most exciting fights of the season, and they're going to get it right the way to the end, out of the final turn. Preston's on the throttle. Mitchell's going to try and get him to the finish line, but it's not going to work. Preston breaks the toe. Beautiful final move there from Preston, and he takes the victory at Zandvoort. Brilliant. Preston wins from Sandy Mitchell. Brilliant showdown to the bitter end, and Matthew Gauthier-Thornton has lost 4th position on the final lap, but this man, Austin Foster, is going to get a brilliant podium. What a way to end his season. That is absolutely fantastic for Austin Foster. He just drove smoothly in the end. He let everybody else have their moment and have their chaotic turn of events. But Austin Foster is going to come through for a brilliant podium to end this season. Well done, mate. Brilliant.
And I think not too far behind, very shortly we'll see the number 9 of George Palozzi, who's also been in the thick of things. He's been in the trenches, and just a couple of moments behind him, about a second and a half behind, is Matthew Gauthier-Thornton, who started in P16 in this race. He's up now 11 positions up to P5 at the end of it all. And here he is. Great job by George Palozzi to take 4th place ahead of Ben White. Harry Smithson will be classified in 9th.
with Philip Russell, who was going to have a really good race, it looked like, until contact between him and Gauthier Thornton on the very first lap now meant that he was demoted down to 7th position as a result. And the donuts are in plentiful supply here at Circuit Park Zandvoort. Jake, what a great battle between Preston and Mitchell to see things out of the season in style.
And what an absolutely fantastic performance it was from each of our drivers. They gave it absolutely everything. There is your final result. Preston from Mitchell, Foster, Palozzi and Gautier Thornton. But your champion is the man who crosses the line in 2nd position after all of that. Sandy Mitchell is the ultimate race victor and the ultimate champion as well. What a brilliant way to end the season here at Zandvoort. It's been a thrilling 4 race weekends, and we've had an ultimate champion in Sandy Mitchell. Some great battles through the year from the likes of Callum Bradshaw, from Piers Pryor, from Matthew Gautier Thornton, from Michael J. Preston, from Yves Baltas. So many brilliant drivers up at the front end. There's been some nice joyous moments as well for the likes of Max Meyer, Harry Smithson, Philip Russell, even Austin Foster in this final race of the year, and of course George Palozzi. Some great drivers to put on a good show. Teddy Wilson could also have been a champion this year had he not got the poor brunt of the bad luck more times than not. But what a great way to end the season here at Zandvoort. I've thoroughly enjoyed it, and I can't wait to go racing again.
Definitely. So on behalf of myself, Alex Goldschmidt, your host of the Custom Racewear Formula 3 iRacing Championship, brought to you, sponsored by Simutec Technologies, and brought to you in association with Downforce Racing and GoBobby.uk. My name's Alex Goldschmidt. His name's Jake Sanson. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you whenever we next do, like ships passing in the night.